Hello everyone, I'll talk about harvesting and the processing of a cannabis plant. In this lecture, I will cover two topics, seed and flower harvesting. And in the next lecture, I will cover the remaining topic, fiber harvesting. Harvesting is the stage in crop production when plant parts are collected at the physiological or commercial maturity to maximize yield and quality. Processing is the post-harvest steps used to preserve, stabilize, and prepare the crop for its intended use. The harvesting timing should be determined by crop type and harvest focus. For example, in seed harvesting, the seed maturity must be checked. In fiber harvesting, the stem length and the degree of lignification must be checked. And in flower harvesting, the maximum CBD and the minimum THC content must be checked in advance. However, improper harvest timing can cause decreased yield and quality, and increased degradation of cannabinoids. There are some indicators to determine the harvesting time. For example, pistil appearance for seeds, trichome color for cannabinoids, and the early flowering stage for fibers. Processing begins immediately after harvest. The subsequent processing begins because processing is the critical stage that determines the final quality, safety, and the value of products. The processing method varies depending on the part of the crop and its intended use. Seeds require cleaning, drying, and storage processes after harvesting. Fibers require wetting, decortication, and storage. Flowers need trimming, drying, curing, and storage processes before further processing. Let's look at each one in detail. Let's learn about seed harvesting. Cannabis seeds are harvested using grain harvesting systems, with the combine harvester being the primary machine. Combine harvester is the most used machine for cannabis seed harvest. This machine consists of four major parts. The header is the cutting unit attached to the front of the combine. Threshing part functions separating seeds from flowers. Cleaning part acts removing leaves and debris. Finally, collection part make a roll to store clean seeds in a grain tank. This slide shows a double cut harvest combine. This approach uses specialized headers to cut the plant in two sections in a single pass. The top section of plants is harvested conventionally, while the lower stalks are cut into manageable pieces for fiber processing. The large front header with its rotating reel and cutter bar gathers the crop and slices it at the base, feeding it into the machine. Reel gently guides the seed heads toward the cutter bar. Auger moves the cut crop laterally to the center. The seeds are usually harvested between 30 and 45 days after flowering. These seeds at this stage typically contain approximately 20 to 30% moisture. As I have previously explained about the structure of the cannabis seed, the seed most people are referring to is a dry fruit called acorn. There are some indicators to use to determine the seed maturity. The easiest way is to observe the fruit color. The immature fruit color is green. However, fully mature fruit has a brown or a gray color with mottling. When you touch the fruit, the outer shell is hard and the fruits are easily separated from the bracts. You know that the seeds are mature. Next, let's learn about flower harvesting. Drying must be carefully managed to avoid mold and preserve the buzz potency, taste, and scent. Following is curing, a process of storing the dried buds in containers and airing them periodically. Further enhances the quality, ensuring the final product delivers the desired effects and the flavor profile. Cannabinoid harvesting optimizes THC and CBD potency and yield by timing the cut based on trichome color. It's milky to amber, and the pistil development, typically during weeks 90 to 120 days after planting. Proper techniques involve drying at 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit with 50 to 60% humidity to maximize quality, while early or late harvesting reduces cannabinoid content. Flower harvesting involves the several steps: cutting the plant, trimming the leaves, drying the buds, and curing them. First step is cutting the plant. It's depending on the plant size. Cut the main stalk near the soil line or cut individual branches. Some growers opt for a progressive harvest, cutting the mature top buds first and allowing lower buds to ripen further. The next step is that they remove the large fan leaves. There are two ways: wet trim, which is trimming immediately after harvest, or dry trim, which is trimming after drying. Wet trimming is often easier as leaves are less brittle. The third step is drying the buds that hang branches upside down in a dark room with good air circulation. The ideal environment is around 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit with a 50 to 60% relative humidity. This process usually takes 5 to 14 days. The final step is curing the buds. Place the dried buds loosely into airtight glass jar. filling them about 75% full. Store in a cool, dark places. In the module 2-3, I mentioned the glandular trichomes can be classified according to their secretory phase from the color of their contents. Immature trichomes are translucent in appearance, while aged glandular trichomes are the peak time of cannabinoid production, appearing cloudy or amber. At the stage of senescent, major cannabinoids start conversion to the chemically stable cannabinoids, such as CBN. Therefore, it's the best time to harvest when the plants have cloudy glandular trichomes for the cannabinoids. Cannabis harvesting equipment has revolutionized the industry, making it possible to efficiently harvest large quantities of cannabis in a short period of time. These machines are designed to carefully trim the flowers, separating them from the rest of the plant material while preserving their potency and quality. From automated trimming machines to buckers and dryers, there is a wide range of equipment available to meet the needs of commercial cannabis producers. Trimming cannabis before drying is known as wet trimming. It involves manicuring the buds immediately after harvest while the leaves still contain moisture and stand away from the flower, making them easier to cut, and is a common practice with specific advantages, primarily the prevention of mold in humid conditions. The decision to wet trim or wait until after drying is called dry trimming. Depends on heavily on your drying environment, available space, and desired final product quality. Trimming buds immediately after harvest, while they are still full of moisture. Buds are then placed on drying racks or hung to dry. Easier and faster to remove leaves. Helps prevent mold in humid environments. Requires less drying space. The aim of drying is to remove the moisture and the chlorophyll, improving the quality of products. Hang drying is the most common method, allowing for even slow drying as moisture moves from the stems to the buds. It takes 10 to 14 days. The process of storing dried inflorescences under controlled humidity and temperature to allow slow biochemical changes and moisture redistribution. Focus on terpene preservation. It takes 2 to 8 weeks in airtight glass jar. During curing, chlorophyll and the residual sugars break down slowly. Limits the transformation of cannabinoids such as THC, degradation to CBN, and prevents volatilization and oxidation of terpenes. Curing is a second stage drying process. Reduce microbial risk under proper relative humidity. Today, we looked at the cannabis seeds and the harvesting of flowers. In the next session, Module 8-2, we will learn about processing of stem. All right, everyone, we will stop here. Thank you. Bye. See you next time.